Hey guys, it's a Man in Black here. Let's try to do this commentary again without low hardware capabilities screwing it up. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I'm sorry for that. I'm working hard on the next ones, but I know they're going to take a while. So I thought I'd bring up a commentary. This is a commentary of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, a review that I, if you've been following me, never did. So what the hell is going on with that? Well, I wrote this review for the That Guy with the Glasses Godzilla collaboration probably over a year ago now. And I was editing it for a while, slowed down by some technical difficulties, some hardware crashing or whatever. And I finally got to the point where I was like, this episode is almost done, but it doesn't reflect where I am right now in terms of producing. It's not the quality level that I feel I should be giving you guys right now. So that's why, rather than put in the maybe an hour or two, well, you know what? Perfect thing to bring up at this time. The Jason Son serial killer clip, which is one of the, I think, 2 short clips I needed to film. But here's the thing. Anything that I film in this apartment takes probably about 5 times as long to clean up as you'd expect. For example, every time I film, I need to move every piece of furniture in my room around. You know, I'm not necessarily complaining, saying that, you know, I don't want to do it, all that. Obviously, I wouldn't. That's why I'm here. But it does lead to me procrastinating on certain things like that. If you couldn't hear in the commentary, basically, that was Fear Fan stock footage, just saying, you know, if you're looking at this item cynically and can't enjoy it, you might be a serial killer. To which response was going to show me in one of the Jason Son costumes with some practical effects, looking like I had just murdered a guy. So odds are that would have taken me, you know, I would have had to sacrifice some sheets, I would have had to sacrifice a shirt, use up a bottle of ketchup, go out and buy props. You know, it's probably kind of involved and involve a lot of cleanup. Not to mention setting it up, because for something like that, I'd probably need to clean the whole kitchen. So that's why it never actually got filmed. It probably would have eventually, but by the time I was ready for it, I kind of decided, you know what, I'm probably not doing this episode in this way, because I have a new show I'm starting with higher quality. So rather than Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 being featured as the last episode of Daikaiju Disaster Control, which had its own issues that I'm going to go into now, it's instead going to be the first episode of Man in Black Z. Now, why would I want to get rid of Daikaiju Disaster Control? A few things there. One, I had about 5 or 6 shows, and if you notice, none of them were updated on a regular basis. Necro Cinema had maybe 5 or 6 episodes. Daikaiju Disaster, this would have been the 5th episode, including a special that wasn't originally intended to be Daikaiju Disaster. Man in Black Reviews as a video show probably had about the same amount of episodes. Phosphorescent Panels had about the same episodes. So yeah, if I had had a single show, that's a fair showing. You know, 20 some odd episodes in the course of, by now, 2 years. So yes, I wouldn't be the most prolific video reviewer, but I'd have a respectable number of reviews. But if you look at it, each individual show, you know, 5 episodes over the course of 2 years, you know, what the fuck is that? And, you know, there's only so much I can keep up with, and they wouldn't exactly progress much at that rate. So I'd rather one show that can progress than several that can't. There's also the fact that I know more about editing, I know more about what I want in my show, I know more about reviewing, I guess you'd say, because I don't, well, you can almost say I know more about writing. I mean, everyone constantly learns, and I've been experiencing different forms of writing than I had in the past. So you can even say I know more about writing. I know more about films. I know more about what everyone else is doing in the review-verse and what everyone else isn't doing. So, for example, Daikaiju Disaster Control, there was one personal issue I had with it, and that was that it was edging more and more toward the nostalgia critic style. You know, every show I had a different style from one another, even just slightly. But it seemed when I made it the Kaiju Disaster episode, except for the character, which the character was kind of hard to maintain, seeing as how I had no real good costume, mask, or set for it. It was basically just me maybe emphasizing an accent, which is hard when you're, you know, trying to remember a script. So, you know, me trying to be a little more street than my normal character, which oftentimes sound kind of bad, I think, because, you know, forced versus, you know, natural is fine, forced is not exactly good, and there's really no accent involved there. So it would be, you know, instead of that, I just would rather do it with a one singular character that is a little easier to pull off, a little more recognizable, and it stops me from having two characters with the exact same face without referencing that. I hate having two characters with the exact same face because it's impossible for a new viewer to tell what's going on. Which, by the way, if you're wondering how in store we got rid of Jason's son, you need to be checking out Mad Matt Reviews, because his last couple of appearances, I believe, were on there, including the last. You might want to hold on for a bit, though. He's doing some final editing on the final confrontation. So some of the scenes with Man in Black and Jason's son were inadvertently cut out. So you'll have to wait before you can see those in the Godzilla. I'm sorry, no Godzilla. Frankenstein Conquers the World review. This joke here, this is one of the ones I'm actually keeping in the final product, but I'm expanding on the scene. So, I mean, the whole episode is not going to be a straight up riff of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, or even a straight up review of it for the whole time. But I do, you know, go into the overview a bit more, go into the riffing, and really try to bring in everything that I can bring to the table. So, for example, that fight between Godzilla and Rodan, not only does it... Oh, this is another joke that I really like, that I want to keep in. But, although I did fix the pacing, because I realized this doesn't really match with the actual pacing of the movie. Where was I? So I was saying, I do bring in some more elements to, for example, those two jokes, to flesh them out a bit more. I hope that's not spending too much time on any one particular joke, but hopefully it's bringing new things to each one that are different from one another enough to be entertaining. Still casting for that, by the way. If you'd like to be in any of my if you'd like to be in Man in Black Z at all, this is really going on, a full TV show / documentary at times thing. So I'm looking for, characters. I'm looking for, witness type things. Anything, really anything you can think of that would go into a review show. I'm looking for constantly, on a constant basis. So this isn't, if you're not in this episode, but you want it because you missed the deadline and you want to be in the next one, then you definitely can make it. As for the review, honestly, as I look back at it, I don't think it's that terrible of a review. But at the same time, by the way, this review is not fully edited, so there might be times where I'm looking at the script and it's legit. I flubbed. I looked at the script because I couldn't help myself. But there are also going to be a lot of times you might be looking at where I'm looking at the script because that was never meant to be on screen. It was supposed to be a voiceover, and I never put the visual over it. This review actually looks almost fully... I think this is actually at the right point where I can post this. This isn't 100% complete, but it's definitely mostly edited. I'm seeing very little in the way of things that aren't on here, so I might just go ahead and post this as a sort of, intermission to hold you guys over. The only reason I might hold off on it is because I don't want to spoil all of the jokes, you know, all the thing, you know, all the audio and everything. I mean, this is, all of the jokes are not copied over, but I do think there's some good moments here. There's also some stuff that was left out. Some part of it is reasons why I scratched the review. For example, there's a scene here where I talk about why I review these dubbed versions instead of the subtitle. I'm usually all for subtitles, but usually when, especially lately, I've only been watching dubbed movies because I just can't can't sit there and watch a movie. I don't always have to do 2 or 3 things at one time. But I discussed a few reasons why I review the dubbed versions, and it really sounds kind of insulting and condescending. It's really not meant that way, and the tone is really not like that, but I think it's just I don't express myself in a way that I would appreciate hearing. Well, you know, I don't express myself in the way that really gets across the reasoning, and maybe 90% of people would not have a problem with what I said, but I'm one of the 10% that would feel insulted by it, so I obviously would not be in my intention, so I'm taking that out. Alright, just a few more minutes. Anything else I can say? Man in Black Z is in works, so keep an eye out. Lots of stuff coming. Hope you enjoyed this commentary. Man in Black out.